Welcome to the course on microprocessor architecture and assembly programming, week 6, session 1. In this session, students will learn two operating modes of 80286, real address mode and projected virtual address mode. This is in continuation with previous lecture. We started to discuss about what is virtual address mode and how 8085 and 80286 gets difference in executing an exe file that we have already discussed in last lecture. 80286 supports real address mode. In real address mode, 80286 works similar to 8086 and the physical memory is organized in terms of segments of 64 KB size. So, if we consider this is a memory which is of 1 MB, that is maximum size supported by 80286. So, this 1 MB is partitioned into number of segments and the size of segment would be 64 KB. So, the size of one segment is maximum is 64 KB. The real address mode, there are again exceptions are there. The first 1 KB of memory starting from 0000H to 003FFH is reserved for interrupt vector table. This interrupt vector table stores the address of service routine of specific hardware and interrupt number. So first, if you consider this is first initial 1 KB, so that is allocated for interrupt vector table, IVT. The address from FFFF0H to FFFFH means the last digit is varies from 0 to F. So 16 locations are reserved for system initialization. In real address mode, it initializes the instruction pointer and other registers of 80286 to start any execution of any process. This is where it calculates 20 bits physical address. We already discussed that 80286 is having 20 bits address lines, but all the registers of 80286 are of 16-bit in length. So how to make 20 bit of physical address out of 16-bit all the registers? That's a scenario is given over here. This is offset of 16 bits. There are 4 offsets we have seen in the previous lecture. These are the segment selection, means segment register. We have also seen in the last lecture. There are 4 types of segment: code segment, data segment, extra segment, and stack segment. So what happens? This is offset and this is segment. So either offset will be shifted right side, 4-bit right side, or segment will be shifted 4-bit left side. So what happens if we perform, if we shift the segments left 4-bit left side? So this is offset and 4-bit shift left. 000 will be placed over here and 000 will be placed over here. And then if we perform addition, so this 4-bit addition goes over here and the next this is 16. So 4-bit plus 16. So total 20 bits of addition. So if we can see this 20 bits physical address is generated using adder circuit. But before performing adder, the segment selection will be shifted left side or offset will be shifted 4-bit right position. Another type of mode is protected virtual address mode. Protected virtual address mode has started from 80286. Is the first processor. It is the first processor to support the virtual memory and the memory management using this virtual address mode. 80286 is able to address 1 GB of memory in case of virtual addressing, but in real addressing, it supports up to 1 MB of memory. There are other terminology the one must learn to understand virtual address mode. Those are selector, descriptor, descriptor table, global, and local descriptor table. Protected mode was incorporated into Intel's 86 architecture in 1982. Protected mode provides several features to enhance system stability and security. Those features are privilege levels, virtual 8086 mode, real mode application, multitasking. We'll see one by one in very much detail. In privilege level, there exist 4 privilege levels. Those privilege levels we can consider in form of ring. There are 4 rings. Inner ring is privilege level 0. This is outer ring. It is having privilege level 1. Outer ring privilege level 3 and outermost ring privilege level 3. So kernel, operating system, device drivers, all those are running under this privilege level 0. The outer one, it's a privilege level 1, privilege level 2, the device driver may works over here at 1 and 2, and at third, user applications runs at privilege level 3. Means user submits any application that runs on privilege level 3, and if it wants to access the kernel, the application has to request to the core or kernel of the operating system. Virtual 8086 mode. In this mode, 80286 guarantees that the code written in 8086 will run in 80286. The real mode application compatibility, that's a Windows 3X together with its successors, provides binary compatibility with real mode to run Windows 2X application. So it's a backward compatibility of Windows version. Segment addressing. In protected mode, the segment part is replaced by 16-bit selector. The 13 upper bits contain the index of an entry inside the descriptor table that we are going to see soon. This entry contains some flags, limit value for the segment size, and the real line address of the segment. The two types of table available are introduced from 80286, that's a GDT, Global Descriptor Table, LDT, Local Descriptor Table. So let's discuss on the descriptor. So we discuss there are four parameters that one must learn before going on to understand 80286 protected virtual address mode, that's a selector, descriptor, descriptor table, and the fourth one is GDT table and LDT table. So this is microprocessor 80286, and the right side is considered this is a RAM. In 80286 we have seen there are certain registers are available. Those are known as code segment registers and data segment, extra segment, and stack segment. Let's say this is one of the segment register. I am denoting as a SR. So SR is of 16 bit. Out of 16 bit, the 13 bit specifies index into a descriptor table. Now what is a descriptor table? A descriptor table is a data structure available into a memory. This is descriptor table. Right now we are not figuring out whether it's a local descriptor table or global descriptor table. Let's consider only it's a descriptor table. So this is a descriptor table, and this is first entry of descriptor table. This is last entry of descriptor table. First and last. So first entry starts in there with 0. The second entry is having index equal to 1, index equal to 2, and last entry will have index equal to n. This first entry may be having a 64-bit length. So this indicates row indicates there may be 64 bytes over here. It may be of 32 bytes, it may be of 64 byte. Specification about whether it's a 32 byte or 64 byte we will discuss in 80386. So let's consider it's a 64 byte. In this 64 byte it is having index 0. Next 32 bytes of punch it is having index equal to 1. Next 32 bytes of punch it is having index equal to 2, and so on. So this is descriptor table DT, and it is available into memory. So that 13 bit of SR segment register contains index of descriptor table. So if these 30 bit combinations are 0 1, 0 1 it's a numeric, but in binary it may be 0 0 0 0 and last bit is 1. So it's 0 1. Numeric, if it is this 13 bit contains 0 1, so it means it points to the first index number 1, not 0, index number 1 of this DT table. So it is pointing to this entry which is having index number 1. So whatever the 64 bytes available over here, that will contain the base address of code segment register. If we consider this is CSR, these 64 byte will contain the base address of code segment register. And other bytes will be useful for the privilege labels, and some flag registers are there. We'll discuss in 80386. So the base address of code segment register now with respect to virtual address mode, it is no longer into a CSR. They are part of this GDT entry. So the base address will be stored over here. CSR or those like segment register points index into DT table, descriptor table, and descriptor table contains this base address. So those base address are transferred from memory to 80286. This base address, it will be added with offset, and the finally 20-bit address will be generated. So this is the case of protected virtual address mode, where the base address is not a part of segment register, they are part of descriptor table. So this is just overview of what is descriptor and descriptor table. So this one entry is known as descriptor, and such n entries are n entries where it is stored, it is known as descriptor table. And this is known as selector. This is 16-bit selector. Out of 16-bit, 13 bits indicates index into a descriptor table. Other features of protected virtual addressing mode is also multitasking. This is the ability of the OS to run multiple tasks concurrently. It can only be implemented if each task is scheduled for execution on different processors. While switching between tasks, processors save the current context information in the task state segment, which we have learned into an operating system subject. When the origin task has to be rescheduled for execution, the saved information is used by the processors to set their internal registers for the resuming execution. So earlier task word was used. Nowadays, if you replace processes, if you replace with processes, while switching between processes, processors save the current context information in the process state segment or process state uh, data structure. When the original process has to be rescheduled for the execution, the saved information is used by the processor to set the internal registers for resuming execution. So very older word is task. In old literatures you will find task, but in current literature you will find processes. Another feature supported by protected virtual addressing mode is protection. Protection guards against the software bugs and helps the OS perform reliable multitasking. So in reliable multitasking, why is it written reliable multitasking? Because in if we consider this is a processor and there are two tasks, task 1 and task 2, this processor will switch from task 1 to task 2 and task 2 to task 1 and henceforth. So it may be possible that the task 1 may point to the instruction which is related to point 2 in case of viruses. Normally it won't happen because this T1 and T2 they are differently written. But if there is malicious code which will address or jump to the address of task 2, it may execute or start executing task 2 and it may steal all the data available in task 2. So these protection bits will guard or it will create a boundary that when the processor executes this code, size of this code, if any instruction goes beyond its own limit, it will not be available or it will not get executed within processor. So in that case, using the sizing parameter, it performs protection. Paging and debugging support, these are also other features of protected virtual addressing mode. The paging is nothing but the memory is divided into fixed size page, and those page contains either data from data segments or variables from instruction segment or code segment. Debugging support. So this is 80286 is one of the first processor that provides debugging of any programming language. Till so far, the user has to debug by themselves. The concept of virtual memory was implemented from 80286. Why is it required? To perform swap in and swap out. What is swap in and swap out? Let's see using one diagram. This is a processor and This is a RAM, and this is hard disk drive. Processor execute processes, but processes will be located into RAM. Let's say this is the program of P1. This is portion of P2, and there is one more process P3. This is one option. The second option, whole is allocated to one process only. But for sake of simplicity, we consider there are multiple processes available over here, but the size of P1 is greater than 1 MB. Let's say this is P1.exe file, and the P1.exe file, it is of 4 MB of size. The RAM which is connected to 80286 is 1 MB maximum. So this 4 MB we cannot accommodate into this RAM of 1 MB. Even one more complex, as 80286 is a multitask, it should support, or it should store the code segment, data segment, extra segment, and stack segment of different processes to support multitasking. So what the swap in and swap out does, it allocates special this extra segment of hard disk drive, maybe the 10 GB allocated as swap area. So out of 4 MB, only the initial few KB will be loaded into P1, and then when all those instructions gets executed, those instructions will be transferred into swap area. So that is known as swap out. And new instruction will be loaded from hard disk to RAM, and once those all instructions get executed, again it is transferred into swap area. But later on, the process P1 wants to execute the same code which has already executed, so it brings those data from the swap area into this area. But before that, it performs swap out, and then it performs swap in. So this process is known as swapping. So swap out and swap in will be performed to transfer data from RAM to hard disk drive or virtual area or swap area, and then it will be executed by microprocessor. So this swap in and swap out is supported from 80286 onward. In protected virtual addressing mode, the multi-programming environment, a distributable is prepared and managed by OS. As we have seen, there are two types of distributable, GDT and LDT. The more about GDT and LDT we'll discuss in 80386. But we have discussed what is distributable in previous slide. The descriptor is a data structure which identifies particular program, segment, or page. Pages are arranged in an appropriate sequence and are swapped in and out of memory as per the need of complete execution. That we have discussed swap in and swap out, and those are performed with respect to pages. Pages is nothing but the memory which is a fixed block size. Information about pages is contained into descriptor. Descriptor types are data segment descriptor, code segment descriptor, system segment descriptor, and gate descriptors. Code segment, data segment stores instructions and data respectively, where system segment descriptor stores system programs, and gate descriptor stores subroutine and ISRs, interrupt service routines. 80286 uses 16-bit content of segment register, CS, DS, SS, and ES, and out of 16-bit, 13 bits are used for selector. Selector is used to address a descriptor or index, or it points to index of a descriptor. A descriptor is a block of continuous memory location, maybe of 32 bytes or 64 bytes of a segment like segment limit, and those 32 bytes or 64 byte contains segment limit, type, privilege level, availability in physical segment availability in physical memory, and other parameters as well. So this is a schematic diagram of how does 80286 calculates address in protected virtual address mode. Earlier we have seen real address mode. This diagram indicates how the physical address is generated in protected virtual address mode. So this is uh, the portion of segment register 13 bit. This is offset register. Please treat it separately. This is 13 bit of any segment register. It points to segment descriptor into descriptor table. Index. Normally it is index. The segment descriptor 24 bits contains segment base address. Maybe a code segment, data segment, extra segment, stack segment. It is given to the physical address, and over here the offset is given and addition of 20 bits physical address. So that 20 bit physical address, it specifies address of either instruction or data. Segment registers are code segment, data segment, extra segment, and stack segment. For each and every segment register, there is offset registers available in 80286. IP, that stands for instruction pointer, which is the offset of code segment. Source index, which is offset register of data segment. Destination index, which is offset of extra segment. And stack pointer, which is offset of stack segment. Let's continue with the rest three components of 80286. The bus interface unit that we have seen this diagram is bus interface unit. The right side is having buses. The left side it was having memory management unit or address unit. Bottom side it was having instruction unit. So bus interface unit, it performs all memory and IO read and write operation with help of these lines, control lines. To perform fetch and instruction bytes. To control the transfer of data and from processor extension devices like 80287. So this is processor extension interface. Through this line, it exchanges data with coprocessor or math coprocessor. Whenever DU is not using the buses for the operation, it prefetches the instruction bytes and put them in a 6-byte prefetch queue, which is available over here. So this is example of parallel processing. Parallelism is introduced from 8086 onwards, but over here in 80286, there are 4 segments and each segments can carry their own task. So simultaneous operations can be performed. So this is also examples of classical parallel processing. Next is instruction unit. So now the instruction unit, it is having instruction decoder and 3 decoded instruction queue. So over here there are 6 prefetch instruction queues available. Out of 6, one by one the instruction will be given to the instruction decoder, and instruction decoder will give instruction to instruction queue, decoded instruction queue, and it will be given to ALU over here. It helps the processor to speed up as pipelining of instruction is done. So before execution, decoding is performed by instruction unit. The next unit is execution unit. This is last unit. To sequentially execute the instruction received from the instruction unit, ALU results in either stored in register bank or sent over the data bus. And data bus means it is sent over memory. It is storing into a memory. So this control unit that comes, these lines comes from instruction unit. Operand goes to ALU. There may be a registers available here. So one of the operand is register, one of the operand may be from instruction decode unit, and it is given to ALU. The control unit is connected over here, which further instructs ALU what kind of operation you need to perform. The result will be stored into either register bank, or it goes over here, or through data bus it is stored into a memory. So we have discussed till so far. We have discussed the 4 parts of 80286. Let's continue with some features of 80386, 486 and Pentium architecture. 80386, it's a flexible to 32-bit microprocessor. Very large address space, 32-bit address space means 40 GB of physical address space. It supports 64 terabytes of virtual address space. 4 GB maximum segment size it supports. Integrated memory management, it supports virtual memory supports and optional on-chip paging. 4 levels of protection it supports. Instead of 3 levels, it supports 4 levels. Added 16 new instructions as compared to 80286. It can perform real address mode and protected mode, same as in 80286. Virtual 8086 mode, same it is 80286, means it can support instruction which is written in 8086 mode. From 80386 onward, Intel has started to develop multiple or variants of the same processor. So 80386, it is having a variant SX and EX. SX and EX both are having a different address bus. SX is having 24 address bus and EX is having 26-bit address bus. So EX can support larger address memory space 4 times than SX. This is our abstract diagram, not detailed diagram, abstract diagram of 80386 microprocessor. We can assume within ALU what happens, what are the components of ALU which you learn in computer organization. Means it contains arithmetic and logic and shift circuit register files. Now instead of register set, the register file terminology is used. Register file and register set both are same, but this register file contains many number of registers instead of 8 or 10 number of registers. Instruction unit will decode the instruction and put into an instruction queue. So this is ALU. Over here, central processing unit, we should consider this is part of execution unit, EU. Bus interface unit will transfer data or from to and memory. The bus control unit, its address drivers, bus control, prefetcher, 16-byte queue. In 80286, it was 6-byte queue. In 8036, it is a 16-byte. Memory management unit, from 80386 onwards, they have introduced paging unit, which has page cache and control and attributes. The descriptor registers, it is same as 80286. 80486 is released in 1989 with maintaining backward compatibility 8086, 286 and 386. Polish and refined, it is also known as polish or refined version of 386. Redesign using RISC sub-concept. The frequently used instruction can be performed in a single clock cycle. New 5-stage execution pipeline is introduced instead of 4-stage. Highly integrated with 8K cache memory. So cache memory was introduced from 80486 onward. And it is also, they have also introduced floating-point processors. Added unit 6 new instructions as compared to 386, or it's added into 386. This is 80486 architecture, abstract view of architecture. This is same as 80386. This is same as 80386. This is same as 80386. What is new in 80486? It's a caching unit. Cache unit. These are the control of cache unit, and this is 8K cache and the floating point unit. Control and register files that performs floating point operations. Then Intel has started manufacturing Pentium. They looked into increasing the complexity of IC. What they did, they scaled down the chip size. Scaling down the chip size in the sense, if every line could be shrunk in half, the same circuit could be built in 1/4 of area. So what the Pentium has started, this if this is the size of chip and they are having a 4 component. So the Pentium from Pentium onwards they have started. Why can't we shrink all these components and can we occupy the last space? This is 1/4 space. Can we occupy one? Can we store? Can we develop a microprocessor which can occupy 1/4 space? So that is they have started from Pentium architecture onwards. Pentium was announced in 1993, originally labeled as P5 80586. So P indicates Pentium. The starting speed of Pentium was 66 or 66 megahertz. It was supported 8K code cache and 8K data cache. So code cache means instruction cache and this is data cache. So this code cache contains only the instructions and data cache will contain only data or variables. That was introduced from Pentium onwards. The core processors, it supports core processor with 8-stage instruction pipeline. External data bus, it supports 64-bit external data bus. Added 6 new instructions to 80486. This is abstract view of 80486. Memory management is same as 386 and 486. 2-stage instruction pipeline or two different instruction pipeline is supported, means two ALU were supported. So multi-processing started, or multi-ALU support started from Pentium architecture. And each and every ALU, they are having a different five-stage pipeline. The cache unit in 486, there is only one cache unit. And in Pentium onwards, they have separated cache for data and cache for instruction. And then to support this multi-core architecture or multiple ALU, they have enhanced bus interface unit. So 32 byte prefetch queue over here for first ALU, 32 byte prefetch queue for second ALU. Floating point registers are enhanced to support more accurate floating point operations. This is difference from 80486 Pentium Pro and Pentium 2 module. So we can see in 486 only one CPU or one ALU. Pentium there are two ALU and one core processor. Pentium Pro there are three ALU, one core processor, 16K L1 cache, 256 L2 cache. So by this schematic diagram, we can feel this L1 cache come across this C1, CPU1, CPU2 and CPU3, means ALU1, ALU2 and ALU3. So if ALU1 wants data, so the data will be available into L1 cache if it is available into L2 cache. If the data is not available in L2 cache, the operating system has to find data into L2 cache, and then those data has to be transferred from L2 cache to L1 cache, and from L1 data will be available to CPU1 or ALU1. In short, if any ALU1, 2 or 3 wants to access data, it first access L1. If it is not available, operating system tab will be created. Operating system will find into L2. If it is not available into L2, the operating system tab will be generated and it will be find into RAM. And then if the data is found into RAM, it will be transferred into L2. From L2, it will transfer into L1. So the copy of data will be maintained over here. It is not like that this data is cut from L2 and it will be pasted into L1. But data copy will be made from L2 to L1. Similar way, in Pentium 2 architecture, there are three ALU, one coprocessor, 32K L1 cache was available, and 512K L2 cache was available. So first, it will search into L1 cache, not available. It brings data from L2 cache, copy and paste, and from L1 cache, it accesses that data directly. Thank you.